Hello teachers, welcome to Para Maestros podcast. This is the English version. Para Maestros means for teachers only. Here we will talk about education, everything related with our profession, from the perspective of Latin America and from the perspective of other teachers from around the world. We will have opinions, interviews, and lots of information about education, and I hope you enjoy it. Teachers, welcome to Para Maestros podcast for educators that are committed for the excellence of education and teaching. I am Carolina.
And I am Juan. Today we're exploring one of the most critical challenges facing educators, preparing our students for an unpredictable future.
Yes, teachers, and sorry for the interruptions. Picture this. A student is sitting inside in your classroom in front of you, and you know that by the time they graduate, they enter a world that you might not doesn't look like what we know now fundamentally. They will have different situations, different landscapes, the technologies that emerge from one day to another overnight, and the social structure that have evolved in unprecedented speeds. The question isn't whether the change will come. The question is, are they ready for it? So we're going to discuss this today.
According to the World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs report, 50% of all employees will need reskilling by 2025. And that timeline has only accelerated. But here's what's even more striking. The skills of our students we need most aren't just technical. They are human skills. Adaptability, resilience, and civic engagement have become the new literacy for uncertain times.
Yeah, this is life change. And the world we live when we were students is not the same as we are having now. And when we prepare, I'm not sure. It's like I'm thinking about my school years. What did they teach me? If they teach me how to be ready for these changes, and I don't think they did it. Not too bad, but wasn't too good either. Now today, teachers, we're diving into the deep into how educators can equip students with these essential capabilities. We'll explore research-based strategies, examine real pedagogical frameworks, and discuss practical approaches that can be implemented in your classroom starting on Monday. Nice, right?
Okay, let's begin with adaptability. Arguably the most crucial skills for navigating uncertainty. Dr. Carol Dweck's groundbreaking research on growth mindset at Stanford University provide us with a scientific foundation for building adaptive learners.
Yeah, Dweck's studies published in the journals like Developmental Psychology, and Child Development demonstrate that students who believe their capabilities can be developed through education and hard work significantly outperform those who had fixed mindsets. But that's one of the strategies. How can we translate this to the classroom? What can we do?
The key lies in what educational research is called productive struggle. According to the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics, productive struggle occurs when students engage with challenging tasks that are within their reach but require effort and persistence. This isn't about making things unnecessarily difficult. It's about creating controlled environments where students learn to navigate uncertainty.
Yes, I remember that when I was teaching my little ones, giving them the chance to struggle, Sometimes my assistants were like, can I help them now? Can I help them now? Yes, no. Let them struggle a bit. It's okay. It's good for the brain because it's how we develop. It's good for the brain. So give them a little struggle, having them frustrated a bit, and dealing with that frustration is a good strategy. I think that is something that nowadays, I guess parents more than teachers are facilitating kids everything, giving them solutions and solving their problems, and don't let them think, and that will not help them in the life, because in life we have to solve our own problems and we have to struggle and we have to deal with these situations. So I think in the school we can start, giving some, struggle. It's okay to struggle and take this bad connotation of struggle. Struggle is positive too. You have to struggle because the brain is working and fixing things and join some neurons there. So I think that's a good one. Another strategy was the practical strategy. Another practical strategy is the challenge response framework. It's a base research from Harvard Graduate School of Education that implemented a three-step process. So the three-step process first was present an ambiguous problem, give students scenarios with no clear solutions. For example, in social studies, present them with historical decision and ask them how to weigh multiple perspectives without immediately revealing the right answer. That's step one. Step two is facilitate collaborated inquiry. So research from the University of Cambridge shows that collaborative problem solving develops cognitive flexibility, structure groups where students must adapt to the approaches from other people around them, for their peers. So they have this input from their peers and they will have to adapt their knowledge or their, the thinking, because they have peers to collaborate with them, and also reflect on the process, not just on the product. The Journal of Education of Psychology emphasized that reflection on thinking processes, metacognitions, build transferable adaptive skills. I remember having learning about metacognition when I was learning to be a teacher, and they talk about thinking, and I was like, "Ooh, that's cool." So yeah, metacognition is interesting, and I use it with little ones. Like, how did you do that? How did you come up with that answer? Show me the process, and that helped them to do, to think about what the process was. So I think I like that strategy. Is cool, quite cool.
One of the process that it's one of the most important process in pedagogy.
Yeah, it is
That you have
definitely.
to learn in the university and what you have to apply all the time in your classroom. Okay, there is a very important point here is the emotions, social emotional skills. Adaptability isn't just cognitive, it's emotional as well. The collaborative for academic, social, and emotional learning identifies emotional regulation as a fundamental to adaptability. Students need to learn that uncertainty creates discomfort, and that's normal and manageable.
Yes, I know. I thought I've read it or I saw it somewhere that the brain it doesn't go well with uncertainty. So the brain always look for certain things. And when you have uncertainty in a classroom, you will have kids that are anxious. They will be anxious and, unsecure what they happen. So you have to be balanced between giving some sort of uncertainty, maybe in solving problems and something things, and some safety net where they can come to and relax and, manage their anxiety. So especially with young children, having them in an unstructured schools or unstructured classroom will be a lot of chaos because they don't know how to manage it. So I think first teaching them how to manage uncertainty and then provide these circumstances where they have to apply these skills. I think that's important. Another thing is resilience, and to academic rigor. So now we have to talk about resilience because I think the world is changing every day. And so we have to be kind of resilient. So let's turn to this. And the American Psychological Association defines resilience as the process of adapting well in the face of adversity, trauma, tragedy, threats, or significant sources of stress. In educational context, we are talking about academic resilience, the ability to persist through intellectual challenges and setbacks. But resilience is a little more than that. It's something that the brain learn how to manage around certain situations. And lots of kids have to be resilient now.
And I think it's an actual ability that is not common. It's
No.
difficult to be resilient.
I think you have to be in adverse. I think that's why in Latin America we're so resilient because our situation is very adverse and we have so many changes and things and situations that we learn how to deal with it somehow, but it's not conscious learning. It's not like, oh,
Yes.
I learned how to be resilient. No, no, no. You have to leave certain situations. So, and you have to manage to go around them and face these situations. So you became resilient. But it's not like as they taught us how to be resilient, right?
But my point is that resilience is not easy
It is.
to get as a as an ability.
No, definitely
It's
not.
very difficult.
Mhm.
It's very difficult even for adults.
For adult. Yeah, definitely. We don't.
For
We need to be conscious, I guess.
and teach to our students, it becomes even more difficult when you, as a teacher, you are not a
A
resilient
resilient.
person.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you have to,
Some
it's just those abilities that you have to you have to be you have to embody the ability. You have to show the ability. It's not
ex
just in a cognitive way. It's part of the example that you provide to your students.
Yeah, and something that just come up to my mind is like we didn't hear resilience. That word for me is kind of new. It's not like oh, we hear when I was at school, I hear resilient. When I was at the university, I hear resilient. No, I thought actually it's like a new word. I think I'm gonna find out when it came up or who brought this word to life because I don't remember listening or hearing this word for many years up to now, recently,
Mhm.
actually, say 10 years maybe. So interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. Okay, Dr. Martin Seligman's research at the University of Pennsylvania on learned optimism, yes, provides educational crucial insights.
Mhm.
His studies documented in psychological science and replicated across multiple educational settings show that resilience can be taught through specific cognitive strategies.
Yes, they talk about the ABCD model for education's resilience. So pay attention, teachers, have notes, take your notebooks, write it down, type it. This evidence-based framework helps students to develop resilient thinking patterns. So first, A for adversity. Acknowledge the challenge or setback.
Mhm,
B is for beliefs. Examine the automatic thoughts about the situation. So if it's too negative, examine it. Consequences. Understand the emotional and behavioral responses. Interesting, no? D
mhm,
is for disputation. Challenge the unhelpful beliefs with the evidence. So this belief, I believe this, and I show my evidence, so compare it and challenge it. And energization, I think, energization. Apply,
energization.
yeah, energization, thank you. Apply new perspectives to move forward. So these are the ABCD of resilience. I hope you have taken notes.
But in this case, this strategy is you have to do all of these
At the same time.
at the same time,
In one
or
second. I think I think teachers are the most resilient because we do have adversity every single day in the classroom with the parents, with the administration, with the kids, with the furniture. So I think we apply this technique every day all the time.
just in 1 second, yes. Okay, and how can we can implement this in the classroom implementation? Research from the University of Melbourne suggests implementing this through failure parties, structured debriefs where students analyze what went wrong in assignment or project, not to assign blame, which
Mm,
is very common, but to extract learning. The key is making failure a data point, not a verdict.
mm,
Um,
yeah,
this is very important because in our culture in
you're blaming
in
every time.
Latin America, we tend to blame
Hmm.
to others, and it's not. It's just what we learn about the situation, what we learn about the mistakes, what we learn
Hmm.
uh,
It's hard, no?
about the
It's hard not
process.
to blame. It's hard not to blame. We want to blame. It's something that we need to do. I need to blame. Who did this? Who did this? I need to
And it's
know.
very easy to blame others and not to
It's
blame
all
ourselves.
ourselves. Yes, that's also true. Or
Mhm.
opposite. Some people, blame themselves for everything, and it's not, it's very well, some
That is
people
not
do that.
resilient.
Exactly. So another thing is we're going to talk about Europe and the Finnish education system, which is always ranked or consistently ranked among the world's best with PISA assessments, which we have a thing with PISA, because you cannot compare the Finnish with the Latin America. It's not fair. And the situations and the learning environments are different. So it's something that I think that you have to be comparing PISA with Latin America. It's something unfair for me. That's my point of view.
It's just an standard that the
Yes.
is from I forgot the name of that OCDE,
Exactly.
just to follow. It's
Mm-hmm.
just a standard, but it's true that it's unfair to compare uh, Sweden with Colombia.
Exactly. Yeah. So they don't have the same situations, and socially and investment in education is different. So,
Mhm.
but we have to learn something from them because they do things right. So they have good results. So one of this is the Finnish educators emphasize that they call what they call the phenomenon-based learning. So what they do is they say real problems. Okay, so real issues in the world. They don't have simple solutions for it. So this approach is documented in the Finnish National Agency for Education to build resilience and normalizing complexity and ambiguity. So they do this. Students, they work on real problems in
Mhm.
in the world and discuss it and give maybe some sort of solutions to it. So that sounds interesting.
Very interesting, yes. Okay, practical strategy, the resilience portfolio,
Mm-hmm.
based on research from the Institute of Education Science, have students maintain ongoing documentation of challenges they have overcome,
Mm-hmm.
strategies that worked and didn't work, growth they have observed in themselves, questions that led new understanding.
Cool.
This is the
So this
purpose.
is not just journaling, it's evidence-based reflection that builds research and resilience identity. Ooh, I can do mine. I think many teachers can go and I did this, I saw this way, I react this way. Cool. That's interesting.
Mhm. Yes.
Not just that, just it's an identity, just building your resilient identity. Interesting. Another part is the civic engagement as future readiness. Civic engagement that we seeing less and less and less, I think. What do you think about it, Juan, the civil engagement?
The civic engagement, this is one of the most important because it is related to social skills,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
emotional skills,
Mm-hmm.
what we project to the others and what we can learn from others. It's very interesting as a social beings that we are.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the pillars. The Center of Information and Research on Civic Learning and Engagement at Tufts University has conducted extensive research showing that civic engagement skills, critical thinking about community issues, collaborative problem solving, and respectful dialogue across differences are exactly the skills students need to for any uncertain future. Uh,
Mm,
it's just to solve the problems in common.
yeah.
Yeah. We
But
tend to solve the problems individually, but when we when we
get
can with the
together.
other and solve the problems together is different,
Yeah, definitely.
maybe faster.
Or no, sometimes it can get everybody to agree on something. It's a little difficult sometimes.
Mhm.
But well, what is crucial about the civic engagement is that it's not about the government, it's not about politics. It's
Mhm.
about the fundamental human skill of living and working together in diverse communities, especially when we disagree.
Mhm.
That is the most important thing. How can we live together when we disagree and when we are in a diverse community? Cool.
Okay, let's talk about the research foundations.
Mm-hmm.
Studies published in the Journal of Democracy and American Educational Research, a journal, consistently show that the students who engage in structured civic learning demonstrate higher levels of critical thinking, just as we were talking about in the previous episodes,
Mm-hmm.
better collaborative problem solving abilities,
Mm-hmm.
increased tolerance of ambiguity, and stronger communication skills across differences.
Wow. So let's talk about the civic reasoning framework. So how do we do this? Developed by the research of Stanford University is history education group. This approach teaches students to first source and collaborate. Evaluate the information credibility essential in our information-rich environment. We already talked about this several times in several episodes, but it keeps coming, so must be something important. Contextualize and understand how time, place, and circumstances and perspectives affect perspective. We talk about this when we talk about history, right? We did an episode about history. And close read, analyze argument for logic, evidence, and biases. Important. So if we have this reasoning, then the students can get a better understanding of what's happening.
Cool, but civic engagement goes beyond analysis. It requires action. The Constitutional Rights Foundation has developed evidence-based approaches for what they call democratic participation. This means giving students real opportunities to engage with community issues at age-appropriate levels.
Yes, exactly. For example, for elementary students, they can research at school neighborhood
Mhm.
issue and present the issues to the community and the administrator. So that's something that I think this essence of Colombians education, the system is that, but I don't see it apply as much. I don't know if it's true, but what I noticed is when we did the PE project educational
Right.
institutional, yes,
Uh-huh.
institutional education, the base of it is how to help the community, isn't it? That you have to contextualize teachers. In Colombia, when you want to open a school, you have to see the community, see what are the problems in the community, and supposedly solve these problems with the school within the schools. But I don't see it as apply as much as because the document is like this. You know, the project's so thick. You have to write so much things about the community and the situation, and I think that's the base of that education system. But in private schools, I didn't see the schools engaging with the community. I don't know in public school if they do it or not.
Mhm. It's a this document. It's a foundational document. It's just
Mhm.
the education that you are going to provide as a school have to fix with the context,
Mhm.
have to respond with an about the necessities of the context. And it's just what you have to teach to your students in response to the context and be useful to your people, to your community.
The community. So the base is quite nice. The problem is the application of it. That's
Mhm.
the thing that we're missing because that's the base. When I was starting to be a teacher, I remember to see, oh, so you have to open a school, you have to solve or look at the community and try to solve the problems in the community. And that was great. That's the
Mhm.
idea. The school was solving problems besides taking the kids all day or having the kids all day, something other problems in the community. But now I don't see it. It's always there, but I don't see the schools applying as much. Or maybe I'm ignorant and I don't know which ones. Maybe they're doing don't.
Some schools are doing that, but
Hmm. Okay. So for middle schools, what can you do? Teachers, you can have students conduct surveys about community concerns and present the findings to the local government. So see you scaling first to the school, then to the local government. In high school, what they can do. In this high school, students can engage in structured policies, analyzing and participate in mock government processes based on real current events. So having the government, we also have this in our school system in Colombia, with having a government in the school. We have actually government in school. And I was elected one when I was, I think, 10th grade. I was elected part of the community, of the, what is it, consejo? I was one of the consejo. I was elected to be representative of my classroom. I remember that, and there was voting, and there was saying, and this is something that we do since the kids are very little in Colombia. Kids have to vote for the representation,
Yes, kids
and
vote for a representation in his for his classroom,
mhm,
and there is a president,
mhm,
is a president for all school.
mhm.
That
And there is like a sort of congress. Sort of like they have I remember they have the parents that are representative, the teachers that are representative, the students that are representative, and the administration that are representative. They're supposed to meet and make decisions together.
Mhm.
That's how it works in Colombia, the education, the
And it
government.
works very well, I think. It's
Yeah. No, I not just no. I think we see education as a long-term solution. I think that these kids have been voting for so many years in school. Sometimes they vote wrong because someone wants a pool and they vote for the pool, and then realize that couldn't happen. Nowadays, at this moment in life, they are voting. They are voting. This started in 1991, right? The the government, school government. I don't remember if it's 1991 or 1995, and they
Mhm.
now they are voting, and they are, I see in the news that more people are coming to vote. But
Mhm.
this is I believe, this is my belief, this is my only belief. I believe that is the result of having these kids voting all the school years. Every year they have to vote, every year they have to face a decision. So I think my belief is that the increase on voting, still low in Colombia, but that have increased, I feel is because these kids have been participating on that
Mhm.
democratic aspect of the school. I know, what
Yeah,
do you think?
when they did this at the school, they become even more critical about politics and about social situation,
Hmm.
the country. Uh, I think it has outcomes, but it's not. It's very,
Still,
very, very slow.
yeah, it's very slow. I feel like it it's having them doing the voting every day, every year, make them believe that there's something that matters and that they are more engaged. And I feel that if we make it better, if the schools can implement it a better way, and having another, you know, activities, or having this representative accountable for what they did or they promised, then that will be another story. But I believe that is a good strategy, and it's mandatory. Also, teachers, it's
And
mandatory in Colombia. We have to elect a school government. It's mandatory. It's not an optional. I think it's in March, some sort of March of April.
February.
Oh, it's in February, radio, when we start school in February. And I remember my little ones doing the campaign, because at that age they love to be the ones that they want to be voted for. So they do the campaign, they bring their posters. I remember the ones that promised the pool, the ones that promised things that they couldn't afford, they couldn't do. And it's okay, because that's their learning, you know. You vote for the pool never came. Now you know. Next year you may vote for something different, so that's what I think is an amazing activity here. That's what I like.
A good opportunity to understand what the kids want, what they want to do, what they want to learn.
Hmm.
It's a good pedagogical strategy as well.
Yeah, I feel like it is. There's so many mandatory things that we have to do, like the environmental thing, the project
Yeah.
of the environment, the project of government, and there's seven. I remember that 7 projects that do. Is it not 7 or 3? No. That we have to. They're mandatory in schools in Colombia. But the one that I remember the most is this government one. It's
Mhm.
interesting. Hmm. So let's see, teacher. Sorry for the we went out of their way. So we can integrate these. How can we integrate these resilience, civic engagement, and adaptability to the practice every day. What can we do in everyday life? So what do you think? Strategies. What strategies do we have?
Strategy one, cross-curricular project-based learning.
Mhm.
The Bach Institute for Education has conducted extensive research showing that well-designed project-based learning naturally develops all three capabilities. The key elements are authentic problems, issues that matter to students and committees, multiple solutions path, not a single right answer. This is very, very important. Public products, work that reaches beyond the classroom, and reflection and revision, built-in opportunities to learn from setbacks.
Another strategy two, is the Socratic seminar with contemporary issues. We already talked about the Socratic questioning. So research from the National Ideas Center demonstrate that structured dialogue about complex issues builds both critical thinking, civil and civic discourse skills. The format is students read diverse perspective on current issues. They discuss the specific protocols that ensure all voices are heard. Then they focus on understanding the different viewpoints, not just the winning arguments. And then explicit instruction in the dialogue skills like paraphrasing and building ideas. So they can paraphrase their counterpart.
Based on research from the New Teach Network, have students regularly engage with current events analysis, weekly examination of unfolding situations where outcomes are unknown, future scenario planning, considering multiple possible outcomes for current trends, personal reflection, how they are developing their own capacity or uncertainty.
So the crucial insight from this implementation research is this. These skills develop through practice and low stakes environments. Students need lots of opportunities to navigate uncertainty, experience setbacks, and engage in civil discourse before they face the high-stake real-world situations. So put them in these situations constantly so they can build this resilience and these skills to navigate the future, our uncertain future.
Let's talk about assessment and measurement.
How do we do that?
How do we know if we are succeeding? Traditional assessment often needs these crucial capabilities. Research from the Harvard Graduate School of Education and the Center of Curriculum redesign points to several evidence-based approaches.
So, for example, performance-based assessment, rather than testing knowledge, recall, create assessment where students must adapt their approach based on the new information. See, this assessment will be different. Persist through multiple step problems with setbacks. Collaborate effectively with peers who have different perspectives and communicate the reasoning clearly. So if you see these things, I think we can do a rubric and then you can assess these skills successfully.
The portfolio assessment or another portfolio. The Coalition of Essential Schools have documented success with portfolios that include evidence of growth over time, reflection on learning process, documentation of collaborative work, and examples of civic engagement.
Nice. So, of course, the self-assessment tools. We have to self-assess ourselves. So research from the Assessment and Teaching the 21st Century Skills Project showed that students can reliably assess their own development in these areas when given appropriate rubrics and training. See, because they they can say everything's good. We know teachers. So the key insight for this assessment should help students understanding their own growth in this area, not just provide grades. We don't want just provide grades. We need to tell them, have you been better now? So compare themselves with themselves, not with other ones. So teachers, let's be honest about what we're asking educators now. Building adaptability, resilience, and civic engagement requires shifts of both pedagogy and mindset. The research is clear about that what works but implementation takes time and support. So it's not one day to another that everything is going to be okay. It takes time. We need to start small.
Choose one strategy that resonates with your context and try it with one class or one unit. Document what happens, adjust based on what you learn. This is exactly the kind of adaptive, resilient approach we want that our students need to develop.
Yeah, we want them to start slow and you know, little by little. Don't apply everything at the same time. We could not do it. Remember, you are not just preparing students for tests or even for jobs. You're preparing them to be thoughtful, capable human beings. I put it in human beings, to be human beings. So it is important to teach them how to navigate uncertainty, bounce back and setbacks, and contribute meaningfully to their communities. So we have our job is not to teach content; it's way bigger than that.
The future may be uncertain, but our commitment to students' growth doesn't have to be. Every time we help our students develop these capabilities, we are making tomorrow a little more helpful.
Yes, because they are going to make our decisions. They are going to make decisions for us. So we want to help them to be more thoughtful and more kind and caring. So teachers, that's all for today of Para Maestros. For a complete research list of citations and practical resources we mentioned, I put it on the description. Okay, so you can see them. And well, next week, we are going to talk about how our teaching profession plant the seeds for the future, the legacy of the teachers. Until then, and keep teaching with purpose, and remember, the seeds you plant today in the classroom will grow tomorrow's solutions, hopefully.
Okay, see you next time.
See you until next time. Bye-bye. Media and explore my website. All the links in the description below.